We believe a birth story doesn't begin with labor, it begins with her. Welcome to Girly Pop Birth Talks, where we go beyond the delivery room. Each week, we interview a woman just like you and unlike you about her pregnancy, her birth, and also her becoming, and what led her to the most transformative experience of her life. So grab a drink, a snack, and cozy up, because around here we go from laughing 1 minute to crying the next, as we listen to the stories that shape us. Because birth isn't just about babies. It's about the women who rise in the process. Ariel Mize.
Becca Gensch.
It's our first episode.
It is. I got butterflies. Here we are.
It's our first mocktail of Girly Pop Birth Talks.
Yes.
Mocktail hour.
She's beautiful. And she's
With-
virgin.
With her mocktail.
It's
So, Ariel, what recipe did you pick out for us today?
So, my favorite cocktail is a white linen where we got gin, cucumber, elderflower, liqueur.
Ariel just introduced me to this last week.
It's my favorite.
At
and it
Shangri-La.
Yes. Shangri-La has a
Blended.
blended. I was like smoothie, slushy version. But this drink was actually invented in Sacramento, which makes me love it
Wow.
even more.
Go Sacktown.
So this is a mocktail version of it that I think is going to taste nothing like it. But we've got soda water, club soda, whatever it's called.
We got
Cucumber.
our Anthro-dupes.
Yes. We're going to add some lime. Here, take this.
Ooh, we're going to make our own.
Mm-hmm. Lime.
White linen. We're going to sing
Like your
this
pants.
podcast. Oh my God. Look at that.
Mint.
Okay. Mint me.
Fresh with
And I'll cucumber you.
a worm. Well, we have our little like
Oh, we
decorative one, but we could add
Do you want
another
another one?
Yeah.
Why not?
We love cuke. Okay. And you should add simple syrup, but we didn't.
Ariel pumped instead.
Yes. Ran out of time.
Cheers.
That's good.
I love it.
Super light, refreshing.
I like it better without gin.
For sure.
Duh.
I'm not sad at all.
I'm not sad at all. I actually prefer it this way.
Yes. Okay. So, I'm getting comfortable.
Yeah, get
What are we
comfy.
doing? Who's our first guest?
Okay, so we thought it'd be fun if so Ariel's my co-host. I'm Ariel's co-host. This is Girly Pop Birth Talks. But to kick off the season of season 1, our pilot episode, we are going to be interviewing Ariel today of all the wonderful Ariel things. And really highlighting Calder's birth story, which is her last born baby.
Yes.
Her last born baby. So yeah, we're going to cozy up. We're going to get comfy. We're going to get deep. Because Ariel's a badass woman, and I'm excited for you guys to get to know her better today.
Great.
Okay.
All right.
Welcome, Ariel, our
Thank you.
first guest. What an honor. Thank you so much for joining us. So, Ariel, if I was to walk back to 1993,
Yes. I'm not that old.
give me like the glimpse of your first 10 to 15 years of your life.
I would say just a regular old childhood. I have a sister, a brother, my parents. We lived in Antelope, and then we moved to Roseville when I was about 10. And it was just kind of your classic 90s childhood.
What order are you in the
I'm the
kids?
middle.
Middle.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the middle.
That's right.
So fun. So what would you say like was your typical Saturday growing up with your family?
I mostly have memories of just being at home and playing with, I don't know, like we had this pool that we would put out in the front yard. And I have a lot of memories of swimming in that pool with the neighbors. We grew up in a court. So I had like literally classic 90s
Yeah,
childhood.
that is like picture perfect.
I know. So all the kids would come over and we'd swim in that little pool and I would boss them around. Or we had like this tent we would set up inside in the living room. And I have a lot of memories of just playing with my
Did you guys
sister.
have a trampoline?
No.
No trampoline.
No.
Probably no broken bones either then.
None.
None. Still to this day?
I don't want to say that because now I'm going to go break a bone.
No.
Lots of broken toes from soccer.
Yeah.
So it's fine.
Just the toes.
Yeah.
So what would you say was your favorite teenage memory? So high school Ariel, iconic dancer.
redhead.
Love that.
Big booty. Big booty bitches. What would you
Love that
say?
you think this is me as a teenager.
What would you say would be like your favorite high school memory or college memory?
Just about
Like, what would
anything?
your best friend say about who is Ariel as a high schooler?
Gosh, I don't know. I don't think I knew who I was, but I loved being on the dance team. We loved performing at like the, Friday night lights, the football games. I have lots of fun memories of my friend Maddie and I. We would just drive like all the Roseville back roads, which now are neighborhoods, but we would just drive them with Nicki Minaj blasting and
Amazing.
just dance like crazy and very unsafely driving, just like on the steering wheel.
I love it.
So that was my wild Friday night.
If you could tell Ariel, little Ariel, something that you know now, just birthing your third baby, freshly postpartum, what would you tell her as like a token of hope, or like what would she need to know that you've learned now?
Oh, I don't know. Probably just that I'm going to do these really cool things, these 3 births. And, because I picture my family, but then when you're on the other side of it, like, I can't believe I had 3 babies. Like, I got married and had 3 babies, and I own a home, like all these things that
Just happened.
Yeah.
So you got married.
Yes.
Tell us about that love story.
So Kyle and I met working at a local restaurant that I'll keep secret for no
Ooh.
reason other than
All the fans.
The suspense.
all the fans, like, we don't want you to, go crazy over it. And he was actually dating somebody else. And when I saw him, I was like, that's mine. I just had this overwhelming feeling. And then I found out he was dating somebody. And I knew he was a Christian. I'm a Christian. And when Christians are dating, it's like, oh, you're basically married. So I was like, well, guess I got that one wrong because he's probably about to marry that girl. And I just kind of moved on for like a year. And our schedules never collided. It was very interesting. And then all of a sudden we started working together again. And I was like, oh, he makes me laugh really hard. And I kind of feel guilty. Like if he has this girlfriend and I'm over here like laughing so hard and really enjoying him, I felt really bad about that. But come to find out they had broken up. And so he was fresh on the market.
Oh my gosh. And you're single this whole time.
Yeah. And we just started like texting. I'm pretty sure we sent each other YouTube links of like cats playing piano, like really stupid things that were like going viral back then before viral was a
Like
thing.
Vine.
Before Vine.
Oh.
But yeah, YouTube.
Wow.
Like cat. I'm a kitty cat. And I didn't sense.
Oh.
No.
No.
Somebody will know out there.
I'm like the era of Fred.
Okay. Fred. Yes. I had a Fred shirt, but a little bit before that. So yeah, we just started talking, and then we found out through friends, like my friend found out through his friend that they had broken up. So I was like, oh, and it just kind of like evolved from there.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And how old were you when this all was happening?
19 and 20.
Wow. So when you were 19 and 20, was marriage and children like in the near future for you, or was that something that was in the far distance?
Definitely far. We got married after 3 years of dating, and that was like sooner than I expected because I was in college. So I wanted to finish college, like have everything, A plus B equals C. You do everything in a certain order. That's kind of how I was raised. And Kyle is very different from that. And he had this moment of like, what are we waiting for? And so he proposed when I was in my junior year of college, if that's even a thing.
Yeah.
And we got married 6 months before I graduated college.
Wow. So you and was it like an overwhelming yes, or was there like hesitations?
Overwhelming yes, for sure. Yeah.
So sweet. And was there kid talk at the time of marriage, or was it still in the near future?
Definitely in the future.
Okay.
Because as a dietitian, I knew I had to go do like another year of an internship and get a job, like this whole thing. So we always knew we wanted kids, and we always talked about that, but it was not on our radar at all.
Did you guys ever have the dates where you were like talking about babies' names and like
for sure.
what we would do on a Saturday with our kids? And
Do you want to hear what I thought we were going to name our daughter?
Please.
It's so bad.
I
Sorry
need to
for
know.
anybody that's listening that might like this name or have this name. But just let's go back to, 2013, 14. Okay. Navy J.
Oh, I like
You
that. That's cute.
I feel like it got like too white girl. Like,
Yeah.
with the Nayvie. I can't do the extra Y's.
I thought it was a Y.
No, I was definitely going to spell it with the unnecessary Y's
Yeah.
in there, as many as I could. Y, V, Y, 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 Y.
Y.
Navy.
20 Ys. So
Yeah.
we don't have a Navy with us.
No.
So that name is long gone.
Long gone.
I think mine were like Millie
That's cute.
and Carmen. Like, you know those flower babies you make in school? Did you ever do that?
No, but I know what you're talking about.
I think mine was named like Millie.
Those are very classic,
something.
cute names.
Hunter was one of them.
Wow.
Names.
Wow.
I wouldn't do it this day.
Okay.
This year.
This day.
So, college.
Yeah.
How did you find like dietitian as a career? How did you know this is what you wanted to do?
It's not a very exciting story, but I started out at a community college and didn't know what I was going to do. And my dad was like, I think he literally was just like, what about being like doing something with nutrition, like being a dietitian? And I was like, oh, yeah, that sounds good.
Oh, super boring.
But before that, very boring. Before that, I did know I had some sort of connection to like the world of health and food and pregnancy. Like I can't remember the timing exactly, but I knew around that time that I wanted to create some sort of space that was like where people could come and get pregnancy, like prenatal education and get like nutrition services. And I just had this idea of something. And then my grandma was a dietitian. So we did have that in the family, although I didn't know that. So I don't know if that influenced me. But she was like, oh yeah, that's like WIC, which is Women, Infants, and Children, the government program. And I was like, oh, there's already something like that. And I definitely wanted like a bougie version of that. But I actually did work at WIC as my first job and I loved it.
So what would you say? Because like I know you as my best friend and also my co-host and also my, like we work together with Rebecca Rose Doulas. You're a very like empathetic person that can sit with really deep things. And in your specialties of like nursing and eating disorders, what do you think in your childhood or young adulthood like led you to be able to hold so much space for such heavy, devastating sometimes topics and like be okay in that uncomfortable?
Learning how to go completely numb. But really, I don't know. I think I have a really good, a really strong ability to just like numb feelings. So I can hold space for a lot of feelings because they're not going to, I mean, they affect me, of course, but I remember one time at WIC, this woman was sharing like really emotional story and I had somebody with me helping me translate and she was sobbing, the woman was sobbing, and I'm just sitting there like, which is not me being heartless,
No.
but I remember her saying, I didn't know it was a weird thing until the employee, like my coworker said to me, I don't know how you just sit there and like don't break down. I was like, oh, I don't know.
Yeah. Like you can, it's not like disassociate, but it's like put yourself outside of the situation. Like you can show up so professionally, but yet so empathetically.
Yeah. I think I also just like, I myself am okay feeling my really strong feelings, so I'm not afraid of strong feelings. So like, you know, somebody can tell me something really big and I'm not like, oh my gosh, what do I do with it? I'm like, yeah, we can just process it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay.
What would you say your intro, like when's the first time you saw a birth, heard of a birth, knew a birth, was told about birth?
I think it was just my mom. I have memories of her talking when we were growing up about like natural birth. I think I must have asked her whenever I learned about an epidural. I don't really know. And she was like, oh no, I didn't have one of those. And she actually did too, Pitocin unmedicated births. And then I think my brother.
So you were Pitocin
yes. then? And she just said like, yeah, it hurt, but it was worth it or whatever. You know, it was just very normal. It wasn't like, I don't remember thinking that you would do anything different. I just was like, okay, that's what you do. And maybe I heard about an epidural after that. But I didn't have any exposure to birth. I didn't watch anything about birth or anything until in college. I wanted to minor in human development because I knew I wanted to do something with like children. And my first human development class, I had a really cool professor, and she was really passionate about birth and natural birth. And she talked to us about like just all the things that I had no idea about. Like we're the first mammals. I'm probably going to say this stuff wrong, but like to stand up, like our pelvis is so small compared to other mammals. I think mammals is the right word.
Yeah.
Like monkeys, they can birth. I don't know. I can't remember exactly, but basically we have to have a 9-month gestation because our pelvis is so small. We can't have babies in us any longer. And like taught me that and taught that we make our pelvis even smaller when you lay down. And so you should stand up, and like really got me pumped about standing up and birthing, like very like,
You felt like primal in that moment.
yes. And I was like, I'm doing that. And then I was talking to somebody, and whoever it was, I don't even remember. She was like, oh, well, if you get an epidural, you can't stand up. And I was like, okay, I guess I'm not getting an epidural. And that was just when I decided.
That's so cool.
Did I have any babies standing up? No.
I mean, I would
Kinda.
call it upright birthing.
Yes, for sure.
Just not feet birthing.
Yes.
No feet birthing here. Okay, so Marin is your firstborn daughter.
Yes.
Tell me everything.
Well, I was 24, 25, somewhere in there. 25. So at some point, I think I like had been in my job, my big girl job, for like a year.
At WIC.
Yes.
Okay.
Kyle had his filmmaking business. We like everything was good. We had our first apartment because before that we lived with like other people, and it felt like all of a sudden I remember feeling like this hole that wasn't there before was like in my heart. All of it. That's how I remember describing it. We felt totally secure and like happy in our family, and then I was like, there's room for a baby. So for me at the time, I think it took 3 months to conceive. And that's not long at all, but it felt really long. And I happened to be almost every single time actually that I've tried for a baby, it's been at the same time as somebody else. And that just like adds pressure and time. Time feels like, if you're the first one to get pregnant, that sucks. If you're not the first one, it sucks. So I just remember every month. I think the thing that sucks the most is that once you find out you're not pregnant, like you're ready to try again. Like, okay, let's move on to the next month. I'm ready. But you have to wait another 2 weeks. At least, right? So you're going through a period. Yeah. And then you have to wait another 2 weeks to find out. And it just feels so long. So I know that's not long, but I remember it felt really long because I think going into it my first time, I just thought like, you try and it works. So yeah, it took 3 months. I had a little bleeding scare at 9 weeks, like enough blood that I was wiping and thought like, oh, my period started. And then I was like, wait, I'm pregnant. I can't have my period.
Oh, wow.
But they couldn't figure out why. It must have just been like, what's one of those things that you can have in there and just like hematoma or something that just.
Subchorionic hemorrhage.
Yes. Like just something.
What was that? Did you have any fear, or did you not know like a miscarriage was something that could happen in the first trimester?
No, I definitely knew. That's another thing that was really normalized. Like I'd heard my mom talking about miscarriage. I had friends that had miscarriages. So I knew that was something that could happen. And it was almost like, okay, I'm having my miscarriage. Like people have miscarriages. So that's what's happening to me. But that's kind of my numb side where I'm like, okay, this thing's happening.
Wow.
And I was sad and I was scared. But I will say it was probably the least scary with Marin. Because although you're having a baby, you don't know what that feels like. And so I was definitely way more afraid of miscarriage with Leighton and Calder. Because I was like, oh, I know what that baby is.
That loss, the depth of the loss.
Yeah.
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 So how was the rest of the second trimester, third trimester?
I got a recommendation from a coworker to do a Bradley method class every Sunday for 3 hours in Midtown Sacramento with like 5 other families or maybe more. This like intense Bradley method, husband coached childbirth. I think it used to be called. They might have changed it. And we just learned so much. Like it was definitely catered towards having a natural birth, but how do you do it in the hospital where you are literally like fighting for your life to have a natural birth? So that was really cool. I felt so prepared. I felt no fear. I was like stoked to give birth. I feel like that class was a big part of that. Like she had us watch The Business of Being Born. And I was just like, I knew all that stuff, but I like really understood after, and she taught us like when the mean nurse comes in. And sure enough, we had a mean nurse. Like she knew everything that was going to happen having a baby in the hospital. So sure enough, having a baby in the hospital at the end of my third trimester, very healthy pregnancy. My blood pressure spiked a little bit, or so they allegedly. I have white coat syndrome. I understand now, but it was a little high. I think I would like drink a coffee and walk up the stairs, take the stairs to the appointment. And so one nurse was like, you got to stop doing that. And I was like, okay, that's probably what's causing my high blood pressure. Like I'm like running here. But at some point they had told me, if you see stars, have the liver pain, have a headache, you need to call labor and delivery. And this is my first pregnancy, so you're still learning like how to trust yourself. I was also very young. So I feel like I have this intuition, but I also don't know anything. And so do I trust myself and risk something happening, or do I trust these people that I'm supposed to trust? So I think one day I like lifted my cat up and saw, I wouldn't even say stars, but just little like dots. Now I'm 9 months pregnant, so you know, that happens. But I was like, oh, I think these are the stars that I'm not supposed to see. So I called labor and delivery, go in, had a really nice midwife, and she's like talking to me while she's monitoring me. And then I got a high one only when she was talking to me. And so she even said, like, let's stop talking. We need to let it, you know. And they were all normal. But unfortunately, there's no way of erasing, especially in the medical system, this spike, right? Mm-hmm. So she's like, I have to make you a follow-up appointment because of that in like a few days with an OB. And I had been seeing midwives the whole time. I was at Kaiser. So I go into that appointment and I knew my blood pressure was very important. So what do you think that did to me?
Yeah.
So the first one was high. And then I was like, can I please redo this? And I closed my eyes and I took a lot of deep breaths and I always picture Pride and Prejudice when she's on like the bluffs, the cliffs, and the music is playing and it's all green and the wind is blowing. And I had a perfect 120 over like 70 something. And I'm like, we're good. So I go in the room, Kyle's with me. I'm expecting them to be like, you're totally fine. And the OB comes in and she's like, so you had high blood pressure and I'm diagnosing you with hypertension, prenatal hypertension, and we would like to induce you today. And I was like,
and what gestation is this?
Gosh, 38 maybe?
Okay.
Yeah, 38, 37 and some change. And maybe like for a lot of people that would have been like, great. But I had in mind my like natural birth story. I wanted to labor at home for as long as possible. I wanted to show up 6 centimeters and like barely need the hospital, right? So I was like, absolutely not. And she was like, okay, well, and she was kind of annoyed with me. And I just remember saying like, I want to talk to the midwives, which are still in the Kaiser system. Let's take note of that. But at least they're a little more gentle. Mm-hmm. And I was like, are you diagnosing me? Like, am I a high risk pregnancy now? And she said, yes. And I was like, okay, can I still use the midwives? And she said, yeah, but definitely didn't want me to. And so we left that. And I remember crying. And I think we went to see A Star is Born. And I remember, yeah.
And that's just a sad day.
I know. But the Bradley Method coach, she is a doula too. And looking back, I wish we would have relied on her so much more. That's my personality where like, I don't want to overuse somebody, but she definitely said like, when you're in labor, call me. And now knowing you as a doula, you would love nothing more than somebody to call you. You're like, she's in labor, call me. But I was like, we can't bother her. We didn't pay her to do this. You know, I just felt, again, being young. But I called her to process it, and she was telling me things that I know now and would do differently. But again, I'm like 25 years old, first baby. I don't know who to trust. So she was like, you know, you don't have to be induced. Like, you can say no. And I'm like, I don't know if I could do that. And she was like, they can schedule it for you and just don't show up. And I was like, no, I can't do that. I'm a rule follower.
Because you do everything right.
Yes.
Yeah.
So at some point, like we had another appointment with a midwife that I really loved, but she also was like, she kind of did the placenta's gonna get old scare tactic.
At 38 weeks.
At 38 weeks.
Okay.
Because of hypertension. Mm-hmm. So anyway, fast forward, I end up going in for the induction. This is around Christmas time. So that's probably an important thing to note too.
Holiday induction.
Yes. So it was just kind of the typical, like took 5 days, or I think it took 3 days. Did the Foley bulb, did the meso, which freaked my uterus out. So then they had to like back off of it. And then Pitocin we tried and freaked my uterus out. And we were just chilling in the hospital for days. And luckily I always tell Marin, like, she was such a resilient baby that she was just chilling the whole time. And I think that's the only reason we made it through and I was able to actually have my natural birth. So I went into labor after some Pitocin and breaking my water artificially. And then it was like crazy time. Pitocin, unmedicated, AKA transition the whole time. And that's when the mean nurse, well, first of all, she was like, I loved my C-sections. I don't know why you don't want a C-section. And I'm like, okay, great.
Yeah.
But I have this goal.
Maybe she shouldn't take vaginal clients.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I said when I was going, I was like, could we turn the Pitocin off now? I feel like I'm in labor. And she was like, I think it's doing just what it's supposed to be doing. Mm-hmm. But thankfully there was shift change, got an amazing nurse, got an amazing midwife. And 7 hours? 7 hours later, I was ready to push. That took 2 hours.
So like induction for 3 days and then 7 hours of active labor.
Yeah.
That's
not bad.
Once it was started going.
Yeah, no, I really have no complaints about the labor. I just look back and I feel sad for that version of me that just didn't know any different.
Yeah.
But best outcomes, Marin was born. She had no decels or anything, a little meconium.
And what time is this? Christmas Day?
Yes. So I went into labor on Christmas Eve, and then she was born 1:46 Christmas morning.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That is like the cutest Christmas morning.
Yeah. And I just want to add that my blood pressure was perfect the entire time. There was actually this moment where one midwife was like, I don't know why you're here, and we should send you home. And so then Kyle and I are like, oh, let's go home. Let's have Christmas and let my body do its thing naturally. And then the next midwife came in and was like, basically, that would be AMA. I'm not comfortable with that.
Do you want to explain what AMA is for people?
Yes, AMA is against medical advice.
What would you say to that Ariel now, knowing what you know of birth? Like, would you have left today? Or was that something that you felt like you trusted your care providers?
Well, if I'm looking back, what I would tell her is go home, be in your environment, enjoy Christmas. I don't want to change anything about Marin's birth now when I look back. I love that she was born on Christmas.
Yeah.
It's part of her story. So there's almost a part of me that's like, it was what it was supposed to be. But for sure, I would love to go back and listen to that doula telling me you can just not show up. And, we walk many clients through that now.
Yeah.
And
what are the risks? Of hypertension, asking your provider
yes,
that. Okay,
yeah,
you're suggesting that I induce because I'm 38 weeks with hypertension only
when I'm
at
in the office.
doctor's office.
Yeah.
What are the risks truly of that?
Right. Which I think was kind of the placenta dying conversation, but also okay, what are the actual risks of that happening at 38 weeks?
Yeah.
When I'm young and healthy.
Yeah.
What
additional testing can we do?
I wish that I would have said, because I did do a couple NSTs, non-stress tests. I wish I would have said, I would like to continue NSTs for the next few weeks. And if something comes up in that time, I will totally get this baby out.
Yeah.
If that's what it's meant to be. But I remember crying at an NST and being like, I'm not going to get the birth that I want, which I know a lot of people in my life didn't understand. What's the big deal? Just go get induced. You get to meet your baby.
Yeah.
But it was really important to me, especially with Christmas. I wanted to be at home with the Christmas lights. I just got this thing in my head.
Yeah.
So.
When your daughter was born.
Yes.
What was that room like? Who was there? What was the emotion?
There was a lot of relief. I remember saying, thank God. Because it was 2 hours of her coming out and going back in.
Oh.
And I had a lot of Christmas lights up because I was like, if you're going to make me be in here, I'm having my Christmas ambiance. And all the nurses loved my room because of that. So I had a Christmas tree. I had Christmas lights.
I love that.
There was a nurse. I think they ended up bringing in another team. Now that I've heard more birth stories, I'm like, oh, is that not normal to have a team come in? But I did hear her say that's mech. And so I knew there was meconium. And then I'm guessing they brought in what do they call that team?
A NICU team.
Yeah, because other people took her over. But my mother-in-law was there and my mom and Kyle, my husband.
Was that an easy decision to invite?
Yes. Yeah.
Your mom's in the room?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
Very special.
Yeah.
So that's Marin's story.
Yes.
Then how long later do we have baby number 2?
So Marin was December 2018. And then we have COVID happen.
Okay.
And definitely didn't want a baby during that time in the beginning. But I feel COVID did this weird thing. Like we saw it also with Kyle's job and weddings. Like it made people almost, I'm sure it's the same with like war. Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about at all. But at first we were all really scared. And then we all like wanted to live very full lives. You know what I mean? Like we're going to have the big wedding. We're going to have the baby. And I did have anxiety about like, should I bring a baby into this world that just had this terrible thing happen that I never imagined happening, like a global pandemic. But being a woman of faith, like I just had this conviction to have a baby that I couldn't ignore anymore. And I just trusted that God knew the timing. And if this baby is meant to come into this world, then I'm going to do that. So that was another journey of a couple months and then got pregnant. And that was sweet. I had Marin like take the little test to Kyle and wake him up. That was cute. Yeah. Her pregnancy, I definitely felt more sick. Marin's was not. I was like my least sick. Layton's, I was very sick. But I also think I was like still recovering from just Marin's postpartum, which could be a whole other episode. Yeah. But very depleted, very unwell. So I think that's why I was like more nauseated in Layton's pregnancy.
The length of how long you didn't sleep and eat and take care of.
Yeah. I'd only been taking care of myself for like 6 months and then got pregnant. So that was July of 2020.
So Marin's like a year and a half?
2.5.
2.5.
Yeah.
When you get pregnant.
Well, a year and a half when I got pregnant.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. So how was your pregnancy with Layton?
It was good. So I had this friend that I decided to use as my doula. Her name's Becca.
Oh, like Becca with a G?
What?
Is that my last name?
Yes. But Becca with a G sounds like Gecka.
No, Becca G.
Becca G. Yes. Becca G.
You had me questioning my last letter of my last name.
Sorry.
So I always get G and J.
For sure.
I would think letters and numbers.
I think they call it dyslexia.
Gecka.
Gecka. So yes. Gecka.
That is hilarious.
I knew I wanted something different this time. I wouldn't call Marin's birth traumatic, but it definitely wasn't what I wanted it to be. And I really wanted a different experience this time. And you were like, you're so good at this. Like, you're not going to tell every single woman, don't birth in a hospital. You know, when you meet a woman, you're like, that's the best place for you to birth. But you have a really good radar for the people that you're like, you need to not birth in the hospital. Like, you deserve to look at other options. Or you know that we're
99.9% of the time I am like, you do you girly pop.
Yeah.
But I'm also a believer, and if I have this feeling that God's like, you have to be my words to this woman, I will lose a client over it, but I have to like say my piece. Because some people, they aren't meant to birth in a hospital. That's not where they're going to best birth their baby, and they just don't know the language yet. Yeah. And how to communicate that. So I'm like, here's an option. Do you want it?
Yeah. So you were like, you need to birth at the birth center, the California Birth Center. And I was like, that's lovely, but like, I can't afford that. They didn't take my insurance. But you kept saying it to me, and I was processing a lot of grief over like, I want a different birth, but my only option is Kaiser again. When I would go to Kaiser, my blood pressure was already high because I was anxious. I remember you telling me like, play worship music in your earbuds, take rescue remedy. But I didn't like the way they treated me right away. Like, there was a whole bunch of stuff, but just basically telling me I'm going to need early screenings for things because of my BMI, which I am a registered dietitian. I understand BMI through and through. I don't dictate anything according to that BS. So I'm like, give me a better reason why I need to be screened for gestational diabetes. I have no other risk factors. And they couldn't. It was just like everything, we're going to start you on baby aspirin. And I'm like, why? I didn't really have hypertension. I got nervous, but it's like they have this process that they want you to follow. And I just didn't feel like I was getting individualized care. My first ultrasound was so bizarre. Kyle wasn't allowed to come because it's COVID. The midwife didn't even print me out a picture, and I cried to the MA. I'm like, can I just have one picture of my baby? And she was like, oh, I'm sorry. I don't know why she didn't do that. And it was just a really weird experience. And so the first couple appointments, I wasn't feeling good about it. And so I was doing a lot of praying, and just by some miracle, I was able to, or really what happened was Trish Trish or Trisha?
Trish.
So they were giving away a birth at the birth center.
Yeah.
And
They do this every year, like in September.
Yes.
They give a birth giveaway.
Yes.
One winner.
But this was their first year. And
Yeah.
so after all of us entered, I didn't win it. And I was like, okay, that was my one shot. And I tried. It's okay. And I remember I was on the way to work and I got an email and she said that she just felt like led to give like 30% off to everybody. And I hope it's okay to say that because
Yeah.
they're not going to do that again. But it was in the first year. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a direct answer to prayer, Trisha. And so I was like, that makes it so much more doable. And I remember calling Kyle and being like, we're doing this. I'm having a baby at the birth center. And it just worked. Like, I don't know how we made those payments, but it was a lot more doable and it just happened. And so I got to start care there at about 16 weeks and had a really great experience there.
What was your, like, you and your husband were on board for like an out of hospital birth, but what was your family's reaction? Did you share that with them of like, I'm going to do something kind of out of the ordinary?
I feel like I probably did what I did this time with a home birth where I just like, I don't tell you. So like, unless you ask, I'm not really going to say it just in case.
Yeah.
And then I think when they heard, I would get questions. I mean, my family has always been whatever about that stuff. You know, I wasn't like they were nervous that I remember.
Yeah.
But there were questions like, is there an OB there? Like just trying to understand most people don't know what a birth center is.
Yeah.
So they don't really understand.
Was it a conversation with Kyle beforehand of like, how do we feel about an out of hospital birth? Or was it something that was just because of the Bradley?
I think because of the Bradley method, Kyle's always been very on board with anti-hospital. You know, we love the hospital for things that need to be done at the hospital. I don't want it to sound like we're like anti the hospital, but for birth, I feel like the Bradley method really opened our eyes. And then having Marin's birth go the way that it did, there was no question when I told Kyle, like, I want to do it somewhere else. It was great.
Do you ever get sad, like today, of like you had these two, I would say, sacred births that were like a different level of respect and love, and one birth that wasn't? Like looking at like all your children, do you feel a certain way of like grief towards a certain birth, or is it all like a good feelings?
It's all good. Yeah. I wouldn't say, like I said, I have maybe some grief for Ariel at 25 and like that her postpartum got set up so poorly because of the way it all started. And I just didn't know things, but I think it's just because you love your children so much. I don't feel any, like that was Marin's story.
Yeah.
And who she is now comes up in that story. And I just love that my little resilient Marin was just chilling the whole time. Like, I don't think I could have done that with another baby. They would have had D cells and been like, I can't do this.
Yeah.
But Marin's,
tapping out, Mom.
yeah. Marin's my strong girl. So, no, I feel they all contributed to the next birth, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So we're getting to the end of your pregnancy with Leighton.
Yes.
How are the days?
Good. You're like, I was there.
Yeah.
They were not good.
I remember some of them.
I was going a little insane because I was induced at 38 weeks with Marin, or 39 is when I had her. And so I think I had told myself, like, I definitely had to process some feelings around, like, my body's ability to birth had something to do with going early. Like, there was some sort of reward for going early. And it clicked this pregnancy where I was like, the purpose of a pregnancy, or like, you're supposed to get to 40 weeks. You're not supposed to, it's okay if you go before, but that's not the goal. You know what I mean? Like, there was just this like click moment. But I, for some reason in Leighton's pregnancy, thought going early means my body is better. My body is really good at this. I don't know.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. So definitely had hard times at the end, just processing, waiting for her. And I made it to 41 weeks before she was born.
How was that last week of pregnancy? Like 40 to 41? Like, what was the noise in your life that week? From first question, what was your noise from Leighton? And then what was your noise from like the outside world?
Leighton was chilling. Leighton was fine. I was healthy, but everybody else was I mean, I was getting daily texts. Daily. Don't do that.
Yeah. What would your advice be to a mom that is past her due date? Like, what would you tell her?
If you can turn off your phone, turn off your phone. But start early by lying to everybody about your due date.
Yeah. Set it 2 weeks after.
Yeah. And, you know, people think like they're the exception. Like, oh, but she wants to hear from me. No, we don't. I'm so sorry. I love everybody in my life, but nobody's the exception. We're already going crazy at the end, and we don't need somebody being, you know, like I even am careful about asking like end of pregnancy woman, how are you? Because that's a normal question, but we know you're actually wondering, are you having any symptoms? Are you having a baby?
And they know that you know that's what you want to know.
Yes. So just don't say anything.
Yeah.
Just drop off coffee and be like, have a great day.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we need. I needed people to like drop dinner off,
Yeah.
not ask me, any baby?
Yeah. How's your vagina doing? Do you have mucus coming out of it?
I should just send pictures. Like, here's my mucus
Did
today.
you and your husband have sex today? I was just
Are you doing
wondering.
all the things that you need to be doing?
How are your nipples? Are you stimulating?
So funny. Yeah.
So no boundaries
No.
in that last week.
Yeah. So that's how it was. And I was like, I'm going insane. Cried every day. Like every day you wake up and you're like, it didn't happen. It just sucks. And it crawls, you know, and then looking back, I'm like, it was a week. Calm down. But it didn't
Longest
feel like
week
a week. Longest week of my life.
Yeah.
For sure. So I went to my appointment at the birth center, and I remember feeling really like empty. And I was like, I don't even care about this birth anymore, which is not a good sign. But I was like, I'm done. And my midwife could definitely sense that. And so she was like, I remember her being like, what do you want us to do today? I'm like, anything. Which before that, I wanted my body to go into labor naturally. That was important to me because I didn't get to experience that the first time.
Yeah. I remember this like distrust of like, I don't know how to go into labor.
Right. Like, is there something I should be doing? And I was definitely doing all the things in that pregnancy, which is different because I didn't do that with Cal. Because I learned a lot from Layton's, but I was doing everything you're supposed to be doing to try to get labor going. And I remember going to the birth center to like get sweeps and checks, like thinking, oh, my water broke so many times. Just trying to, what's the word? Like make it I don't know.
Yeah.
Confirm
the progress, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. And so she, I think, could sense that I was pretty done. And I actually was, I remember I was always like a 0 or a 1. And that day at that appointment, I was a 3. But I didn't care. I was like,
yeah, that's not 10.
3 shmee. Yeah, I'm like, if it's not 10, don't tell me.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean anything. I remember thinking, like, don't care. And so she talked about a midwife's induction and that we would do that day. And I remember going into the birth room with you. And this was back when, I love telling people this now because it's not like this anymore. I'm like, when I birthed at the birth center, I was the only one. I had the whole place to myself. Mm-hmm. It's so different now.
Yeah.
Which it's still, I love that now there's like multiple people there.
You're birthing
possibly.
with people. Yeah.
But you were like, you are going to have your baby by like 4 a.m. the next day, which I did. And I couldn't believe it. Went home, did some things that I don't know if we can discuss.
I mean, sure. We're not a medical show.
Okay. I had castor oil.
Wow, you're not a girl.
That wasn't a moment where I did trust my intuition. And I have a metaphobia, which is important to note.
Yeah.
Because it's come up in every labor. Except for, actually it did come up in Cal's in the beginning. So I was scared.
I remember that emotional support barf bag.
Yes, I always have my emotional support barf bag, because just in case.
Yeah, it just has to be there.
So I was scared that taking castor oil would put me into, no, I wanted it to put me into, I was scared it was going to make me throw up a lot. So I ended up taking, I think I was told to take like a certain amount, and I took much less than that in the smoothie. And then I didn't even finish this, or like milkshake. Didn't even finish it. But labor had definitely started. Like, it's hard to say exactly when, but you came over around 10 p.m. That was nice because I got to say goodbye to Marin. Like, I knew I was going into labor. That was kind of a nice part of like starting things and not waking up in the middle of the night like, got to say goodbye to her. She went to my parents, and then you came over and like helped me engage with it. But the contractions were definitely very light. And then actually that might've been earlier, because I feel like we went to the birth center around 10. When I got there, I was a 5, and I was so excited. And from there, I mean, that birth, I will say, is my favorite. It was it was so healing compared to Marin's. It was what I needed after Marin's. I remember saying at like 1 a.m., this is the easiest thing I've ever done. But when you have a Pitocin birth as your first, I was like, this is birth.
Yeah.
I could do this a million times.
Yeah.
Contractions come and then they go.
Yeah.
Whoa.
And you have breaks.
You have breaks.
And they're real contractions.
And you have oxytocin, not Pitocin.
Yeah.
Pitocin. So I loved that. It was honestly very an easy, I at some point after spending a while in the shower, got in the tub, and then I just like laid there, stayed very still, and that really worked for me in that labor. I actually did the same thing with Marin. Theirs went very similarly, where I could just like if I stayed very still and focused on my breathing, I could get through the contractions. And then of course at the end, things got tough, but for what amount of time? Like it was just enough that I say all this because you're going to hear my third birth story. But that was totally manageable. She was coming out military style, we found out after, and that's why things felt so strong and wrong. So I'm like, something's wrong.
Yeah.
And then she came out in the tub, and she was healthy, and she had dark hair, which was totally unexpected. And it was beautiful. I loved that birth.
Aww.
Yeah.
What was the room like? Who was there? What was the emotions?
So my first birth, I felt like I needed my moms, like I was young and I wanted my mom and my mother-in-law, and I wanted like their strength. Like they've done this before. I don't know what I'm doing. For my second, I definitely had a strong feeling of I need to do this on my own. And so that definitely went into that decision, but also it was COVID. And so I was only allowed a certain amount of people. So I had Kyle. There's our third guest, our fly.
Our fly.
And then Kelsey, my birth photographer, and you, but you were also like part of the birth center at the time. And the midwife. I think that was it.
Maddie.
Oh, and Maddie. Yeah. I was like, well, I remember somebody else. Yes. So I had Maddie also as a doula, which was awesome.
Yeah.
And she was there supporting me a lot, like with my emotional support barf bag and touch and like cool washcloths. That was really nice.
Would you recommend the birth center? Is that something that was so much better than the hospital, or would you say call it like a middle ground?
For me, because I want to acknowledge that for some people, they may not feel this way. But for me and what I needed that birth to be, I loved the birth center, and I would have done it again if I wasn't having a home birth. That would have been my next choice. I just really appreciated. I remember feeling like, when I had anxiety come up at 37 weeks about my blood pressure because my body remembered 37 weeks with Marin, and I went to the birth center, and the midwife sat with me for like an hour, put my feet up, and talked me through everything, and made me feel so much better. Versus Kaiser, they have 15 minutes. I don't fault them.
You're high risk.
Yeah, it is one of those. Take your aspirin.
Yep. Get out of here, you high risk baby.
So I felt like that was what I needed. I needed somebody to sit there and hold my hand. I loved that Marin could come to appointments because, again, COVID. Kyle could come to the appointments. Like they had a little bit more flexibility to have that. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
How many weeks postpartum are you?
Right now?
Yeah.
16?
Oh.
Yeah.
And you had a little
boy. I thought you were going to say it too.
boy. Oh my gosh.
Yes.
And he's the cutest little thing in the world.
Mm-hmm.
He's so happy.
He is.
I know we're not getting into postpartum. Maybe we'll have to do a whole postpartum episode.
I'm still like in it.
Later.
Yeah.
Like of all 3 postpartums.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, maybe when you're like
out of it a little bit.
Like his first year or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, tell us his conception.
Mm-hmm. So I was laying on the bed. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. I threw my legs up, and my husband came over, and he said, "Baby,
stop.
Let's make a baby."
My mom is listening. After Layton, we had a very stressful couple of years, and we were like, no. We thought we wanted 4 kids, and we were like, let's hit pause, like hardcore pause. A little bit before she turned 3, that all of a sudden that strong, like I had so many moments over the last 4 years where I was like, we're dealing with so much. Thank God I'm not pregnant on top of this.
Yeah.
Like I just was so thankful because I would think like this would be about when we were getting pregnant again because we're doing the every 2 years thing. And then all of a sudden that same hole opened up. Like I felt like I'm supposed to have a baby. And that was a whole thing with my faith too. Like I was seeing a lot of stuff on social media about people that had two specifically and how they really wanted a third. And these were non-Christians. How they wanted a third, but they were just like, my mental health can't handle it. My body can't handle it. Like the kids that I already have, I don't want to do that to them. And that's totally valid. And I 100% felt that too. But that's when I would feel like this whisper from the Holy Spirit, like, that's not having faith, not having another child because you can't handle it. That's not a reason to have, like, I felt really convicted for myself, where I was like, I need to not do the easy thing. My flesh would love to just stop having babies. Life is finally getting a little bit easier. Like they're feeding themselves. They're like,
Yeah.
But I felt a strong conviction, like there's another baby to be had. And it was scary. To think about it. Like I didn't feel like we were ready in a lot of ways. Our life is still very stressful. But just decided to go for it. And so we started trying and actually got pregnant faster. It still took a couple months. So Kyle hasn't slept in years because of his job and all the stress that we've been dealing with. And I had been trying to heal some hormonal issues from Layton's postpartum. And so I was like, this is going to take us a while. We got time. So like we're saying yes, but it's going to take us a while. It did not.
Magic golden words.
Yes. So I feel like I was still wrapping my head around being pregnant for like the whole first trimester. I identify with people that say like they had a surprise pregnancy. I'm like, yeah, but it wasn't a surprise. So I can't really do that, but it felt like a surprise. But we knew what we were doing. I just did not expect that.
So fast.
So fast. Yeah. Yeah. So I definitely was nauseous. I remember I like want to gag thinking about it now, but I finally figured out that Starbucks berry refresher, the blue drink with little red
boba
berry
things.
Yeah, how many of those did you buy me throughout my pregnancy? Yeah.
I thought those were the only things that made you not nauseous.
Yes, I know, but now when I think about it, I feel nauseous.
Oh, the correlation.
Yeah. Yes. I never drink things like that. And then one day I found it. It had like just enough caffeine because I couldn't handle coffee at all.
Which is a very sad thing.
That coffee
for
is
Ariel.
my life.
She probably orders what? 2? 3?
2. If I had a lot of money, I would probably order 4 a day. That's a lot. But that was really sad. I was very sad about my coffee, and not having caffeine was really hard. I think because of the season of life we were in, I struggled a lot with feeling like very stuck. Like I remember laying on my couch, not feeling like I could move, and just looking around at my house. Like, I want to clean that. The floor is dirty. My kids want to play with me, and I just couldn't move. And I was like, I hate this. It was really hard. When I got pregnant with Layton, all my friends were still having babies. We were like all still in that together. And so it felt very normal. Like it felt normal to have a 2-year-old and be pregnant. For some reason, being the only pregnant person in my like circle of friends, being older, my kids being older, it just felt wrong. I don't know why. I felt
like lack of permission to
honor like
that season.
I couldn't be sick because my friends weren't sick. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Like, it was really weird. I also was dealing with a lot of, it was definitely depression. The work that we do and just knowing a lot of people, I knew a lot of people that had walked and were still walking in infertility. And I felt a lot of guilt for like getting pregnant quickly, kind of not wanting it, honestly. That made me feel terrible. I felt like I couldn't say that I didn't, I wanted it, but it was a decision I made in faith. So it wasn't like I really want another baby. It was like, of course I want another baby. I would love having a baby, but also I'm really scared. It was just complicated.
Yeah.
I still can't sort through those feelings.
Yeah.
And I felt like I'm going to get emotional. my existence was like causing pain. I'm laughing at you because I know I'm going to make you cry. I wanted to minimize myself. I wanted to be smaller and make the pregnancy smaller. And you can't really do that when you're getting bigger. You know what I mean? I just kept wanting to be smaller as my body was growing. So I would just like, people would ask me, how are you feeling? And I would be like, it's fine. Everything's fine. Don't want to talk about it. I didn't want to talk to anybody. I didn't want to make it a big deal. I just wanted to be like, I'm just pregnant with another, which I knew that anybody struggling with infertility would want me to soak up my pregnancy and would want me to be so grateful every day. And I knew that, but I also felt like somehow it made it better if I was like, no, it's not a big deal. Let's not talk about it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Complicated feelings. It doesn't make any sense.
It does.
Yeah, it was hormones. It was a whole lot of stuff.
It also goes back to who you are as a woman.
Yeah.
And how like loving and caring and empathetic you are.
Yeah.
And for you to get another gift on top of all your other gifts when your friends haven't received one.
Yeah. Yeah. True. Thanks,
Don't get me
therapist.
started on how amazing you are. I'll be blowing.
Yeah, I definitely felt like survivor's guilt. And I honestly, sitting here, hate that I'm getting emotional about it because I'm like, I'm still the one that had the baby. So like, I can't feel sad about, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It was layered. It was like, I feel so bad. I should be so grateful. But when I am grateful, I feel really bad. And then I feel really stupid for making this about me because I'm not the one suffering. So then I'm just not going to talk about it. And so I really minimized.
On top of all the hormones.
Yes. So I was definitely struggling that first trimester. Thankfully, had therapy and that helped. But I do feel like that affected the entire pregnancy and came up in the pregnancy because I tried so hard to just be like, shh, don't exist. And he was like, oh, I'm going to exist. And that started around Christmas time.
Yeah.
What?
Just keep going. Just keep going.
So,
it was a big pregnancy.
It was, yeah. I was processing a lot of stuff the whole time. But I mean, what would I expect from a pregnancy that came from a conviction? Like it was going to be, It was purposeful to teach me things and shape me. So around Christmas time, before that, I was able to just minimize it. Like, don't talk about it. Don't celebrate it. Like, that part makes me sad, but we figured it out by the end of the pregnancy. But Christmas time, it was Christmas Day. I was entering my third trimester, or it was Christmas Eve, and I started to get these strong Braxton Hicks. I don't know. We still don't know what they were.
Irritable uterus.
Yeah.
We called it.
And basically, I feel like that was when the baby was like, you're going to start paying attention to me.
Yeah.
Because on that day, we thought maybe it was from like the stress of Christmas. I didn't sleep well at all. Christmas or the night before Christmas Eve, I was at my in-laws, just in a different bed. You're not drinking as much water. You're not eating as much. You're just kind of off your routine. And so, I had these like, it felt like my uterus just locked and I couldn't do anything to get rid of it. So I ended up being on bed rest for a little bit. Because if I would like stand up to go to the bathroom, it would start. So I had to be still for days until it finally calmed down. And I was doing all my like electrolytes, hydrating, eating, I don't know. I really just feel like it was my body like, you will pay attention to me.
Grasping your attention, literally.
Yeah. So from there to the end of my pregnancy, my life then revolved around this irritable uterus because it got really bad in the car. It was super distracting at work. Like everything became about it. And I canceled a lot. Like it became very much, I got to stay home. And now looking back, I gaslight myself because I don't remember what that felt like. And I'm like, why couldn't you just like go places? Why were you home all the time? But it would start and it made me nervous because we didn't know what it was doing.
Yeah.
It would sometimes be rhythmic, like contractions, but I knew they weren't real because they were like up here. But I was like, I don't know what it is. At one point we thought, is it my gallbladder? Like we just didn't know. And so and it was exhausting to me. Most evenings, Kyle was dealing with the kids and I would just be in bed. And then he would bring them into bed to do like bedtime and then they would go to bed. So I think the thing that was the hardest about having the like irritable uterus was that I had trained myself from Layton's pregnancy that I was going to go late. So I like took this later due date, and I'm like not going to listen to anybody that's going to tell me I'm going earlier. I prepared everything for going late, like as much as I could. I told everybody don't expect anything earlier, and then now all this stuff is happening, and I'm like, it's messing with me. I'm like, maybe I am going to go early because my uterus is mad if I like walk
Do anything.
Yeah. So that sucked because that messed with me. Like, I feel like I didn't get to be as chill towards the end as I wanted to. Although I will say, I definitely accepted, like, whether you do something or you don't do something, you're going to go into labor. There was no magic thing I had to do. I didn't have to eat the dates every day and drink the tea and blah, blah, blah. Because, you know, those things help for sure. But if you don't get your curb walk in, you're going to be fine.
Yeah, your baby will still come.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's just happening like up until the end. I believe I was around 35, 36 weeks pregnant. I was driving to a client's house for an appointment, and I was like, these are like happening regularly. Still not real contraction. Like, I know what that feels like, but something is happening and it's bothering me. And I did promise myself, because so my midwife aired more on the side of like, we don't need to do anything about it. And you were more of the other voice of like, we should go to L&D, like just check it out. Like, you wanted me to do that from weeks prior, just to check it out.
Yeah.
And
I like information.
Yeah.
Not that it's going to change our outcome.
Right.
But it helps us make decisions personally.
Yes.
But I'm not the birthing.
Right. But
woman.
I'm just saying, like, I appreciated that I had both sides and I could kind of decide what to do.
Yeah.
So I had promised myself next time they're regular, I'm going to go in and just see what they're doing. Just because I felt like, is something happening, or am I making this up in my head, even though it's my third time?
Yeah.
So I think I know what.
And you also like hit the car on your belly, the car door on your belly.
Oh yeah, there was that.
Like
I
same week.
opened it up.
It's like in the back of your head.
Yeah. So I go in, and you know, it's a little bit nerve-wracking to go into a hospital when you're a home birth person, which I didn't really talk about why I was going to do a home birth.
Yeah.
We didn't really talk about that.
Should we talk about it?
So I think it was just an easy decision. I think I knew I was going to do a home birth if I was going to have another baby, because it felt like a natural progression. And so when I got pregnant, I was like, I really want to do a home birth. And it was the same thing of like, my insurance obviously doesn't cover this. Are we going to be able to do it? And same thing where it's just,
It worked.
I don't know how, but we did it.
Yeah.
So it was an easy decision for sure. Because I think the one thing that was hard for me with the birth center birth is that I know you always joke about like, you packed yourself up. Like, like I barely laid down in the bed and I was packing up, but I couldn't settle.
Yeah.
Knowing you guys were going to kick me out in a couple hours, which I understand why. That's
Yeah.
the birth center model. But I was like, you want me to get comfortable in this bed and like,
Yeah. Sleep
Sorry.
for 2 hours postpartum.
no, I could not fall asleep there
Yeah.
because I'm like, no.
I totally get it.
So I just wanted to go home. So I was excited that this time I would just walk to my bed and then not have to worry about going anywhere.
Yeah.
So I was excited for that. But anyway, fast forward. You go into L&D and you don't know how they're going to treat you because you're saying like, I'm not really a patient here. But everybody was really nice. I ended up with the perfect nurse and midwife. The nurse used to work at a birth center as a midwife assistant. So she was like, oh, that's so cool. And then the midwife, I don't know if she had any affiliation with like home birth, but she said like, I'm not supposed to tell you that that's awesome, but it's awesome. And she's like, do you live close? I'm like, I'm 7 minutes away. She's like, you're the perfect candidate. It's totally fine. Thank you for the permission. But,
Yeah.
but
I
it was
really
good.
needed you to tell me that.
Yeah. Well, I didn't want someone to come in and be like,
Yeah. Gaslight you on the other way.
yeah, like,
Yeah.
of course you're here with problems.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You only come here when you need us.
Yeah.
Why do we get all nasally when
I
we
don't
talk
know.
shit?
It's the Karen voice.
It's a Karen.
So, she was like, if it's your, it's your third baby, if you're feeling something, there's something. And I was like, thank you for that validation. But she hooked me up and it was contractions, but she checked me and nothing was happening. So that was what I needed to hear. These are doing things, but they're not doing anything.
Yeah.
So they kept trying to find baby, which we didn't know the gender, baby's position, and they couldn't. So they do an ultrasound, which now looking back, funny story. So we obviously didn't know the sex, and I told them. There was always this part of me that wanted to like not tell them, and then they would accidentally tell me, and I could pretend like it was an accident, but it kind of wasn't. But I was thinking of Kyle, and I'm like, that's not fair. So I was like, don't tell me the sex. We don't know. And so they were like, okay, look away. And then the midwife said, which now I'm looking back and I'm like, is this because it was a boy? But she was like, she said, make sure you look away because sometimes like, you know, a penis shows up on the screen and that's very obvious. And she's like, I'm not saying that because I see that, but it could happen. And I can't remember if she had already been in there or not, which he was transverse, we figured out. So he definitely could have been showing his stuff to the...
Yeah.
He was like, hello. Yeah. So I didn't think anything of that. But then after the ultrasound, and they told me, you know, baby's transverse, which was a separate issue we'll get to. But the nurse said something like, yeah, if you aren't sure of her position, come back. And then she was like, I mean their position. So I went home like, it's a girl. She slipped up. And I told Kyle, I was like, I'm not going to tell you, but I'm pretty sure they slipped up and I know what we're having. And I think I said the same thing to you. I was like, I think I know. And then I like released it at some point because I was like, I'm not going to think about it too much, but I was pretty darn sure that she messed up because why would she say that? Especially if now I'm thinking back, if she saw that it was a boy, why did she say she, they? Like she's
Because they see like 700 people a day.
True. Yeah. But the midwife even tried to laugh it off. She was like, ha, she, they. So I was like, oh, you guys screwed up. But I didn't mention in my very first ultrasound around 20 weeks, the tech said him. Mm-hmm. And my dad brought that up. He was like, I've thought it was a boy since then.
What was it like going through a pregnancy, not knowing
the gender,
the
sex, excuse me.
And like taking it a step further because I am your best friend and like walk this with you. Mm-hmm. But like talk about how one, you felt guilty for being pregnant sometimes. Mm-hmm. And then one, we didn't know the gender. It caused like a lack of connection.
Yeah.
Would you like talk on like other ways that you can bond with your baby not knowing the sex or in pregnancy?
Yeah. I don't know if I know the answer because that is my reflection. And I don't know how much of it had to do with my emotions or it was just if I don't know the sex, then it's hard for me to connect. But I would probably say that I could have spent more time being intentional, like feeling the baby. I think that what blocked me more than not knowing the sex was my like brushing it off when somebody like you would come over and be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe how pregnant you are. And I was like, it's fine. Move on.
Yeah. Just another pregnant woman.
Stop. Yeah. It's not a miracle, Becca. There's that nasally voice. So that was probably what blocked me from connecting with the baby more than anything. Yeah. I do think it would have helped if we like had named, you know, when you know the sex, then you can name the baby and that's what I had done with the girls. And so we were like referring to this baby and getting to know their little personality. And for some reason, I like couldn't do that this time. But that's another way that he was like demanding my attention was he started flipping transverse 35, 36 weeks. And he did it many times up until possibly 40 weeks.
Yeah.
At 37 and something, he started feeling very low. I remember I like couldn't walk. I think that day I told you I had like hiccups
in your vagina.
Yeah, I was
hiccups in my vagina. Hiccups in my vagina. I felt a little hiccup in my vagina.
Very weird feeling. If you ever get to experience that, he was that low. So I'm like, that's good, right? My baby's super low. And then that was for a couple days. And then I woke up one morning and I'm like, wow, I can walk so much easier. What is this? And then I think the hiccups were like higher up. And I'm like, oh, that might not be good. So I think even before that, I had been like losing mucus and then it all stopped. And so I had an appointment with my midwife and she checked and she was like, I think the head's up here. And I'm like, no. And Ooh. She's like, yes. And so we figured out that he had come up and was transverse. So we're not panicked at this point. It's 37 weeks. You know, it's not breech. But I was, you know, a transverse baby cannot come out of the vagina. So I'm like, we need to fix this ASAP. And so I think it was that day that we have just the best like birth community here. Yeah. So I got in to see Hannah, my chiropractor. And then you called fertility acupuncture and he's next door to Hannah. So he was like, come right over after. It was just like such a cool day.
Yeah. We have the best birth community in Sacramento.
For sure. I can't remember if it was that day. Now that I'm thinking about it, was it that day that I went to get? Yeah, it was. Yeah. So I went in and it was really cool. He like put us in this back room. I had you come with me. He was going to do the moxibustion or whatever it's called. And Maxa. So he was like, you know, I can't make your baby do anything. Your baby has to consent to flipping. It was like this very like hippie, you know, we're just encouraging your baby to turn.
He was the best.
He was awesome. He reminded me, he smelled like my grandpa.
Yeah.
And so I was like very comforted.
Yeah.
And he was like, so how stressed are you? And I thought he was asking about the transverse situation. And I was like, not that much, you know, not that stressed. I also live a life of a very high baseline of stress. Like my baseline, if it's a good day, I'm probably an average person's 6 out of 10. And so I'm like, we're chilling. And he was like, okay, well, usually it's some sort of stressful, like he was kind of confused. He's like, usually it's a stressful event that pulls the baby out of the pelvis and moves them. And I was like, a stressful event?
I don't know her.
And he left and you were like, Ariel,
Yeah.
you've had some stressful events.
Big summer blowout.
So he like gives you time to just lay there after putting all the little needles in you, which I didn't feel any of them, in case anybody's wondering. I didn't feel, that was cool. Which I know they say that, but I was kind of scared.
Yeah.
What does that feel like?
Yeah.
I did feel we'll get to it, but the induction ones.
Yeah.
So he left the room and like he gives you time to just process. And so I think I had like a little cry, little just like, wow, I'm definitely not acknowledging that I have some stressful things in my life right now. And this baby I'm still downplaying this baby. And it was very like, you will pay attention to me. Like, it's time to pay attention to me. So he came back in. He burned my pinky toe.
He burned it.
He burned my pinky toe.
He said,
What are you going to say?
I don't even know. Something nutty.
I didn't know this, so I'm going to say it because I've listened to many birth podcasts and they talk about moxibustion. Am I saying that right? Nobody says what they do.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought it was just like,
Yeah.
burning like incense. No, they take.
So that's even a close. I didn't even know it was incense at the moment.
It looks like a cigar.
Yeah, it's like a black cigar
Yeah.
that he lights for a while.
Yes. He gets it hot. And then he put it next to my pinky toe and he was like, you're going to tell me when it's burning.
Like
you.
on her pinky toenail. And Ariel has one. I know some people like me, we don't got the toenails. She's got a big pinky toenail.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Bringing up my foot trauma.
Really?
Oh, yeah, I was teased. They're good feet.
They're good feet.
They're good toes. Can you see?
Yeah,
For free. Oh, yeah, don't show that to the internet.
For $1.
So he was like, of course, me, high pain tolerance, and definitely not going to tell somebody until it's like bad because people pleaser. He was like, is this still not burning you? I'm like, no, it's fine. But then it like burnt my toenail. And this is nothing negative about him because this is the process. So I want that to be clear. Loved it. 5-star review.
Yeah.
5 stars.
He's incredible.
Yes. But I just didn't realize this is it. So you know how like when you burn your hair, when you're doing your hair and you're straightening it, like back in 7th grade, when you're straightening your hair,
Yeah,
you know
to
what I'm
the
talking, and it goes up to the root and then it's like still burning you even when you take the straightener off.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? And you're
Or
like,
when you like burn your tongue and then
it's
burnt
still there
for like days.
So it was like that. So even when I said like hot or too much or something, he took it away, but my toenail was still burning.
A little flame on it.
So anyway, he does this thing where like he brings it closer and you say like hot, or I don't remember what I said.
Yeah.
And he had to do that 4 times or something like that.
Yeah.
And he bumped my pinky toe.
My pinky toe. Why was this episode 2 hours?
This is going to happen at the end of every episode. We're losing it.
My pinky toe.
You bolt.
I walk out with my little bump toe.
So anyway, I go home
With your little butt toe.
with my bolt toe.
little butt toe.
And baby went head down. So 5 stars.
5 stars. Like it was clearly transverse. Heart tones
Yes.
up.
Yes. I think she even ultrasounded.
After the fact.
Ultrasounded.
Ultrasounded.
She ultrasounded.
And then, yeah, baby was head down.
Yeah. So then I started to feel pressure, like this baby needs to come out because I'm not interested in this game you're playing with
The
me.
hiccups were back.
They were back.
In the Virginia.
So let's see. This is when the timeline gets important. So that was on March 20th. Then that night I got in the bath and I like had a big emotional release because I was like, okay, you are demanding my attention and I haven't been giving it to you. I had a therapy appointment around that time where I was like, it's too late. Like I have been downplaying this baby and kind of telling it like, be quiet the whole time. And she was like, it's not too late. I remember calling you after and being like, we're going to be excited about this baby. And you're like, I have been.
Yeah. Built down goddamn time.
But I'm like, next time that you say like, this baby, because you would do that, I'm like, I'll scream too and I'll try to get excited. And just like let that be. It's okay. It doesn't mean that it's not dismissing anybody else's journey or anything, but I'm allowed to be excited for my journey is what I would tell myself. So that Monday, the 24th, I scheduled an induction acupuncture appointment because I was like, time to get this baby out. And that was the first day that I was like mad that I didn't go into labor. Because at this point I had been thinking for a bit, like, it's happening, it's not, the kind of prodromal stuff was starting. But I went to the appointment. You came with me. I was already having contractions, regular contractions. I should say, I didn't say that this point, the like irritable uterus stuff that was happening up here moved down. So I was no longer consumed with like what's happening. It just kind of stopped and turned into like real contractions, prodromal labor stuff. So we go and he like put these, I mean, you saw it. Tell me.
Yeah. So it's like these 4 larger needles around the sacrum.
Mm-hmm.
And I wish I had the proper terminology to like describe this in the papa terms, but what you need to know, there was 4 needles around the lower sacrum.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's only one sacrum around the sacrum. And then he attached electrodes around or on the larger needles.
Electrodes.
Hemorrhoids. You get what I'm saying.
Intergalactic. Yes.
And then he turned it on and went up and up and up and
yes.
up. And so he described this like process as like the first one was like engage, and then it was
he put also needles on parts of me that like
one was for effacement, one was for dilation,
yes.
and then the last one was like it was an explosion, was like
yeah,
like let's have a baby.
Yeah.
So it was super, super cool.
Yeah, it was. And it was a little intense, but it wasn't bad. It kind of felt like a TENS unit on me.
Yeah. Like an internal TENS unit.
Yeah. Yeah. And you could see the contractions on my belly as I was laying there. We left that appointment and you're like, go home, have dinner. And I went home and it was like, it was my dream for what I wanted my birth to be. So it's like evening time, but not too late. So my kids can stay up. I like have confidence that I'm going to have my baby. These were all wishes of mine. Like I want to know that my baby's coming. So I feel good about keeping my kids up. Or I wanted it to be like during the day. So the sun was still shining. I made dinner and I'm like having contractions during dinner. I would go like lay down in my room for a little bit. Kyle started setting up the tub and we have really cute pictures and videos of the girls like playing in it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so sweet. Like we read the home birth book together and I'm like, I'm just going to go into labor now. But the whole time I also was like, this is just too good to be true. And turned out it was. So it just kind of poo-pooed out. And that was like the last straw for me in my learning, like my growth with just stop trying to push labor when it's not. Stop trying to make fetch happen.
Gretchen.
I feel like we both just like had an aneurysm at the same time. But yeah, there was just a lot of like, is it happening? Is it not? Is it happening? It's not. So I just kind of let that happen. And I was still working up until April 1st. But definitely like, it's still hard. You go crazy no matter what. I've talked to you about this. Like, it doesn't matter how much you prepare yourself. I think you're supposed to go a little crazy at the end because I also felt this on that night of the 24th. I was like, I haven't like lost my mind yet. I remember saying that to you and I'm like, I feel like I need to lose my mind because to have a natural birth, there's like a level of excitement and gratitude that you have to have. I feel like you have to have that makes the contractions, like I was so excited with Leighton. I'm like, I'm so happy to be in labor. It makes it like easier to handle. Yeah. And I hadn't hit that like low point yet. Yeah. I wasn't over it. And so I had some fear still.
Yeah. That's so cool.
Yeah. So I was like, I don't know if this is it. And it wasn't. So anyway, we go on. I started like writing these notes. I was looking back, these like notes every day. And one day I wrote, I don't know what happened, but I wrote in there, nobody in this house cares about my oxytocin.
Especially my 3-year-old.
Yes.
4-year-old.
I think I was like mad. The house was a mess and nobody was like I mean, that's the one thing I'll say about a home birth that we did not expect was that we had to constantly keep the house clean. And we live in 1,100 square feet.
You thought you had to constantly keep the house clean.
Yes.
Because, yeah.
You don't have to. But
No.
for me, I need a clear space to have a clear mind.
Yep.
And so we just like want every night, we're like, this could be the night. So we want to make sure the floor is not covered in beads,
Yeah.
you know?
It's important.
So that was hard. That was harder than I expected because it's a lot to keep up with my 2 very creative children that just explode all over the house. So that must have been one of those nights where I was just like mad at everybody for having a dirty house. And then I would have another day where I'm like, totally fine. I'm like, I had contractions for a while last night, but it's okay. So it looks crazy, my notes. this day. So then I think around the 29th, 30th, I had a really emotional day where I just was really, I was very over it on the 30th. We were celebrating my mom's birthday. And it was the end of March. And like, I knew I wanted an April baby, but there was also this marking of time, right? Like now I'm definitely having an April baby. And it just starts to kind of mess with you. And I was feeling very over it at that point. I was hitting my over it. And so then I had my last client on April 1st. And then April 2nd was my due date. So yeah, I think that brings us to the due date. So I scheduled an induction massage with our lovely Tracy on the team, and I was determined to have a really good day. You came over. She gave me a great massage. I think I'd slept in that day, and I stand up from the massage, and I think you went to like say goodbye to the baby, and you were like, something feels different. And I go look in the mirror, and I feel like this might not make any sense, but I feel like my belly looked like a cube. So there was like a 3-dimensional cube. So like a ball here and then ball. And I'm like, that looks like a head and a butt to me. And so here we are on my due date. And we don't know for sure because I didn't have my midwife come over or anything. But I was like, I'm feeling that relief. I'm not feeling him super low. My belly's looking like this. And I was like, you've got to be kidding me. Because at this point, will he have the room to move head down? I don't know. So that ended up being like a really emotional, crappy evening. I definitely remember turning my phone off. Like, I just can't talk to anybody. I'm not going to think about it too much. I think we watched Knocked Up. I think we watched that night. Just tried not to think about it. One thing that I wanted to bring up, because hopefully we have some like birth workers listening to this.
Way better.
Something that my midwife in Layton's pregnancy 4 years prior said to me came up in that week. And she had said it that day at that appointment when I was like, I don't know if I'm ever going to go into labor. I'm so over this. She said some women just require a little push or something like that. Like some women need a push to go into labor. And I don't remember, I actually feel like that was encouraging to me then. It was like the permission I needed because I was processing like, why can't I just go into labor? Which looking back, I definitely was in labor. But this now 4 years later, almost to the day, because I had Layton in April as well, this is coming up and it's like hindering me. And I just thought that was really interesting. And it made me reflect a lot on like, we as birth workers, which I'm obviously on the other side, I'm like lactation and postpartum, but what we say carries such weight.
So
and that's a lot of pressure. And I was like, I'm sure I've said things.
Oh, I know I have.
That you think is encouraging. It might even be encouraging in the moment, but we have to be really careful in that space because that then made me feel in my third birth like I was not going to go into labor. And so I processed that with my midwife this time and was like, I just have this thing in my head that like, I can't go into labor unless I have help. I need like a push. And she was really great at that 40-week appointment. You were there, we had coffee, and she helped me process through things. And I remember her saying, just like giving a really good pep talk. I don't even remember exactly what she said, but it ended with like, you might even have your baby tonight, which this was on the 3rd. And spoiler alert, I did have my baby that night. So I like processed that and had a lot of trust. Like I didn't even end up doing a membrane sweep. I thought I was going to want that. And I was like, no, let's just let it be. Let's just let it happen. I prepared to go late. It's fine. So then she leaves, you left. And at that time, Kyle had these weekly calls from 4 to 6 p.m. on Thursdays, like important calls, like a meeting he had to be in. And because of the irritable uterus, it was hard for me to be alone with the kids for a long time. Like I needed to sit down a lot. And so we'd gotten in this pattern of on those Thursdays, I would get the girls in the car. We would drive to the furthest Chick-fil-A and I would get them dinner and then drive back. And that whole process would take almost the 2 hours. And that way they're strapped in and can't fight with each other. They can't touch each other. They're like strapped away from each other in the car. They've got dinner taken care of, but I don't have to cook it. And the drive took up
Most of that time.
most of the time.
Did we say the baby was head down
Yes.
after the massage?
Yes, that's true.
At that
No,
appointment?
at the midwife appointment. Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
So I don't think I did anything. I was like, I'm just going to let this baby do. Apparently they just like to flip around if that's happening. And she came and confirmed he was head down. So important detail. So
You go to Chick-fil-A.
well, before that, my mother-in-law comes over, and she had been coming over sometimes like earlier in the day to do art with Marin. And I was actually just looking back at pictures on April 3rd, and one of them is their artwork together. And while she was there, Kyle and I went for a walk, and I think earlier in the day I had done like an hour of hand expression, 10 minutes on, 10 minutes off. And I was like, I'm just going to kind of gently encourage things. And when I got home from the walk, I went to the bathroom and I had like the tiniest little baby bloody show. Like I've seen everybody else's pictures and mine is nothing compared to that, but I've never had bloody show. And I cried. I was like, my body's doing it. Like I'm doing it all by myself. I couldn't believe it. I was like so giddy. I came out of the bathroom and I didn't want to say anything to my mother-in-law because I'm like, a watched pot never boils. So I'm not telling her, but things might be happening. And so I'm sitting there kind of breathing through some early labor stuff, but I didn't tell her anything because I didn't want pressure. And
I wonder
not that
if she like knew.
She tells me when I told her after, she was like, I noticed you like kind of breathing through. And she said, I bet you something's happening is what she was thinking. But she wouldn't, I'm not saying she would have put pressure on me, but I just didn't want anybody to know. I didn't even tell you guys.
Yeah.
I just was like, I'm just going to see what's going to happen. And she leaves and I get the girls in the car for Chick-fil-A. And on the way there, I'm like, woo, these are happening. And they were feeling stronger and more regular. By the time I get to Chick-fil-A, all of a sudden this like strong urge to poop and vomit came over me. And I'm in the Chick-fil-A drive-thru. And I'm like, what am I going to do? Like, am I having a baby? I didn't know if the poop was the baby. Like I don't know what happened to me. It was
imagine?
like, oh my gosh. It was this insane.
Chick-fil-A for life.
Yes. I almost thought, like, should I go in the bathroom? Well, what if I'm going to have a baby? I don't want to have a baby in the Chick-fil-A bathroom.
What do you do with your kids?
Yeah. And so I texted Kyle and he was like, should I come there? I'm like, no. Like, I'm just going to keep trying to get through this. But I was telling the girls, like, mommy might need to throw up. It was like, I'm not even accurately depicting how 0 to 100 it went. Like, we're just driving to Chick-fil-A and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, I think labor's starting. And then we get there and I'm like, oh my gosh. My emetophobia is coming in because I need to vomit and I don't want to vomit. I don't like to vomit in unsafe places. And I just said that word so many times for, sorry for any other emetophobes. I'm supposed to give a trigger warning. But I had Kyle's jacket and I put it on my lap. I'm like, that's what I'm going to get sick into if I need to get sick. And I'm telling the girls, I'm totally fine. I think the baby's coming. I just might need to get sick. And they're like, okay. And I'm like this in my chair, like, I have to poop. And I get the Chick-fil-A and I'm like, I'm just going to go home as fast as I can. And I was praying out loud, like for every light to turn green, and they kept turning green. And that was just cute.
Jesus.
Yes. Because Marin was like, look, they're turning green. I'm like, yes, I know. Just a little church lesson in there. Like, I'm like, God hears our prayers. And poor Layton was anxious. She's a little more anxious than Marin. And she was like, Mom, keep praying out loud. I know. I'm like, okay. And I just kept saying, like, get me home before anything happens. We get home. Kyle meets me in the driveway. I run to the bathroom and empty my bowels, which thank you. Because
So it was there.
It was there.
You were holding back.
Yes, I was. Not a baby.
Not a baby.
So emptied my bowels, which thank you, because then I didn't end up having any poop stuff in labor.
Yeah.
That was great. But I was very nervous that nausea was going to be a part of my labor. And I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can do that. I don't want to be somebody that's like puking her whole labor. That's just because of who I am. not something I was interested in. So I took like the last Zofran I
That's
had.
a no for me.
That's a no for me. And it brought fear into my labor, which I didn't love. So I started my labor with a lot of like weird fear. Like, this is really intense from nothing, rather than like the slow build that Layton's was. So that, I don't know if that stopped it. I don't really know how to explain from here on out. But I updated you, and you came over, and at that point, contractions were and continued the whole labor to just do whatever they wanted to do. So they were strong, they were real, but they were 8 minutes apart for 2, and then 2 minutes apart, and then 10, and then 5. And I just was like, what's happening? But they were strong enough that I knew we can't really ignore it. And so that was hard for me because I didn't want to call anybody over. I didn't want to be the boy that cried wolf. There's our little Fred fly.
Yeah, we love him.
And so I was like, I don't know if I should tell people to come over. But then you were like, well, I'm just coming. Either we're hanging out or we're having a baby. And I'm like, okay. And then Kelsey was like, let me just come capture some early labor stuff. Kelsey was just like in my last birth, my birth videographer this time, filmmaker. But I still was like, I don't know if it's real or not. I don't know if it's like, it could be 12 hours from now. Who knows? It could be 36.
Yeah.
From there, and please feel free to add if you would like. But I feel like we just started engaging with the labor. So you got the birth area set up, blew up the pool. We had my parents come over and bring their trailer to have a space for like people to go that aren't, so they're not in the house, like a waiting room. And we just started trying to have this baby. But the entire time until 11:30, from this started at 6, I didn't know if it was happening or not. It was like, they were just weird. They were really irregular. We would try certain positions. Like I remember my midwife saying, they seem very like positionally dependent. So we tried to do the rebozo and like hold the baby close. We were just kind of hanging out, doing different things. Do you want to add anything as my doula?
I mean, I felt like it was pretty evident that you were in active
I'm like
labor.
still gaslighting myself. I still didn't know if it was happening.
I
think didn't that like 11?
It wasn't like your normal baseline of what your normal was being pregnant. Like you were already like going inward a little bit.
True.
She was making arrangements for the kids, which is something that you wouldn't do lightly.
Yeah.
And there's just a feeling like when you attend enough births, like the feeling of like a progressive labor is near. There's like
you just know
a feeling in the air. And I think we all felt that because we all came and stayed.
Yeah, the midwife came around 10. I think I said at 11, I was like, should you guys go home? And you were all like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, she's like in active labor.
I had him at 2:30, and at 11, I was like, I think you guys should go.
You guys should go get some rest.
Yeah, I'm like, I feel really bad that you're here. Because, again, it would be these, like, sporadic, weird contractions. So the biggest thing of this labor that makes it, like, not my favorite compared to Layton's and even Marin's is I did not go to Laborland. Maybe a little bit, but, like, not what I was used to, where I could go inward and, like, stay very still and just breathe through them. Because when you going into Laborland, like, requires consistent contractions, in my opinion, because you have to, like, stay with it. But mine would do that, and I'd be like, okay, I'm going there. And then it would spread out to freaking 15 minutes. How are you supposed to stay in, like, for 15 minutes?
It's difficult.
So I would come out of it and be like, all right, what are the girls doing? Are they sleeping yet? Like, so I was too aware, and I feel like that was hard in my home, too.
Yeah.
So I'm very aware of my surroundings, and that's who I am. I'm affected by my environment. So, when I got in the shower at one point, I was like, this water bill, man, this is going to be expensive, and I shouldn't be thinking that in labor. And I'm looking at my shampoo and I'm like, this is a dirty house. Whose house is this?
And we're in the living room just getting comfy. We ordered sushi. We ordered groceries.
Yeah,
we ordered
that was fun.
Drinks. So we were just chilling.
You guys were chilling on the couch. And I was out there for a bit. And then at some point I was like, okay, I need to like decide to engage with this. I don't know. I think we went in at 11:30 to get checked for the first time. And I was a 4. And that was a little bit hard for me. Mostly I was only okay because I've had so many amazing women go before me that I've heard their birth stories where they go from like 2 to 10 so quickly. So I was like, I know it'll happen. But I was a little bit like, pretty sure I've been a 4 for like days or something. I was like, that's not the first time I've heard that number. And with Leighton's birth, I was a 5. And so I was like, I've already done half of the work and it wasn't even hard. So I was a little discouraged, like, man, I got a lot of work to do. But this is 11:30, maybe even midnight. I don't know. So this part's a little blurry. I don't know if I had already gotten in the shower or
That was before the shower.
Okay. So I think at that point I was like, I really want to engage in this. I want to get this going because I'm only a 4. So I tried to get in the tub that you guys had filled and it was super hot. I have an amazing water heater. It was a little too amazing. Yeah. And I was instantly like dizzy and hot and Shelton's like, get out. That's my midwife. So we got out, cooled down, and I'm like, maybe I need to go in my cave because I always go to my cave in labor and that's when I like go into transition typically. So I go to get in the shower and it's nice for about 2 minutes and then the water's cold because it's my house and there's not a water heater made for births, like at a birth center or hospital. So I'm like, that's not working. That pulled me right out of it. And so I think at that point I was like, maybe if just Kyle and I are in my bedroom, everybody else goes, like I was feeling a little bit watched. Nobody was doing anything wrong, but I was like, I'm feeling pressure to perform.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, let's just be alone for a little bit. And at that point they were stronger, but still weird. And I was looking back at text messages and at like 1 something, Kyle was saying like they're double peaking, but they still have a lot of space between them. He like texted that to you guys. And I started to need to vocalize in there. Because again, I think like I couldn't channel my quiet place. I was very quiet in my other labors until pushing. But this one I was like fully moaning through the contractions. And that was not part of the plan. Part of having the home birth and having my kids, they were asleep. I forgot to mention, asleep in their room in my tiny house. I told them, mommy's not loud in birth. Like I thought I was going to have my mother-in-law, mom, sisters-in-law. Like I wanted all the women in my life basically and Marin to come and watch me push. And I should set the scene up right before we get to the actual scene. So home birth. Whoa, home birth. That's how I feel like home birth is supposed to be. Yes. It's home birth is pain-free. Home birth is on your timeline.
Yeah.
Home birth is easy. I watched all these videos of women like breathing out their baby and you watch the head come out and they're just like, and I'd torn in both of my previous pregnancies or labors. So I was like, I'm going to just breathe my baby out and my daughter's going to watch me and it's going to be so empowering and beautiful and the timing's going to be perfect. Like it's not going to be in the middle of the night when she's very asleep. No, because home birth does what you want it to do. Mm-hmm. And I watched all these videos online. I even watched one towards the end of a woman who didn't like put music over her home birth and she was roaring. And she was like, I feel like home birth on social media is shown as this like, beautiful like lights and, oh, that was so easy. And she's like, mine wasn't. And I'm like, that's not for me.
Yeah.
I was like, that good for you, but mine's going to be.
What a mammal.
So beautiful and so easy. This is my 3rd time. Mm-hmm. And you just get better and better.
Yeah. And you're perfect at everything you do.
I'm so good at everything I do.
Mm-hmm. Even pushing babies out.
Yeah. It doesn't humble you.
And to go,
So that's what I was thinking was going to happen for sure, right? So I'm already panicking like it's starting to be the middle of the night and that's not what I told my baby to do. That's not my birth story. And how many times do I do this hand? This is going to be a new thing I realize about myself. Salt Bae. So anyway, it's like your little. So
we're not talking about the flaps.
No, we're not going to talk about it. So anyway, so I had pictured, I'm going to be calm and quiet and change lives. And wow, I thought I was really important. So
you are important. You
I know.
Birth.
Okay, thank you. But it wasn't my quiet little, whatever. And so I'm already roaring and I'm like, oh, this isn't, but when the baby comes out, like, I'm not going to do this. I'm just doing this right now.
Because it kind of feels good.
Yeah.
To like open my mouth and like drop my jaw.
Yes.
And relax my pelvic floor.
Wild.
Wild thoughts.
So I was moving a lot. Like that was feeling really good. I think Kyle was helping me because I remember at some point being like, now don't touch me. Like there was a clear distinction. Like that was helping and now it's really not helping. And, I think I said to him, I'm going to decide I'm in transition because this is ridiculous. Like they're still all over the map. I still am coming out of them extremely sober-minded and then trying to go back in and they're more painful because of that. That was the first time in the whole labor I would say like pain, I know we're not supposed to talk about that there's pain in labor. don't see that. It's powerful.
Powerful, and it only feels good.
Yeah. But there was pain, and it's purposeful. So it doesn't feel the same as breaking your arm, of course, but I was working through some stuff. So I just said to Kyle, like, I'm going to pretend like this is transition. And if it's not, it's not, but I'm going to try to like go there. And then it definitely picked up from there. So this all started 12:31. He was born at 2:30, 2:33. And this part makes me laugh because it like shows how, again, how present and like sober minded I was like, I had a contraction and here I am probably at 10 centimeters at this point. And I'm like, I like got out of the bed. I'm like, I'm starting to push. Like, let's go to the tub.
All right, kids, let's go.
Yeah. A woman in transition shouldn't be like, okay, I'm ready to push. I'm feeling pushy. You know what I mean? It's just like, usually like with Layton's, I had no idea I was starting to push. It just kind of happened. And you guys are guiding because you're the ones like on earth. I was very on earth. And so I remember having it. And then I was like, okay, let's go to the tub. And so we all go out to the tub because you were in there at that point.
Yeah, we were doing some shaking the apples.
Yes. So I get in and I don't know what the time was. I think 20 to 30 minutes from that point. I was in, like, that was how long I was in there before he was born. He was very high and like hadn't come down, and maybe that's why the contraction, I don't know. But in those minutes, like his descent, like when he decided I'm coming, it was like, I'm coming. Like extremely intense feelings of him coming down. And that was crazy. It did not feel normal or natural. Obviously it was, but it was not something I'd experienced before. With both girls, pushing felt good. It was like what I'm supposed to do. And there is almost that feeling. Like it does feel kind of like when you need to get sick or poop and you're like, ugh, and you, like, you know, it feels like that's what I'm supposed to be doing, but also I'm sick. So I don't feel very good. It's like, it feels like that.
It's very good.
That's my
Birth
depiction
lesson.
of, yes. So I was having those strong guttural, like pushing down kind of sounds, but it was terrifying the way it felt. I don't know how to explain like that.
It's okay.
It was just so intense. And I was, you know, with my other labors, I was able to just like fully relax, but I was grabbing onto Kyle. I definitely bit him at some point fully. You know, I remember saying to you, like, why do people like birth combs? Like, relax your hands. Why would I want a birth comb? You're not supposed to clench anything.
Yeah, you're like,
I screwed myself. Yeah, I was like, I need something to hold on to. And that was poor Kyle's shoulders. I was screaming. So here I was thinking I was going to have this like, Marin, come here, watch. And instead I was like, hold my butt! Literally. Becca was behind me and I was like, butt pressure! Or something like that.
Butt pressure here.
Yeah, you're ready. I felt like my entire pelvic floor was going to explode from just everything down there was going to. I thought there's no way he's only coming out of one hole right now. It did not feel right. And Kyle, this is another funny part. When you said to Shelton, because my water broke at some point in that, you said rupture. Kyle thought rupture. And he had this thought process of like, okay, this is really bad. This is going to be really bad. But I'm here. I got this.
I love my ruptured wife.
Yes. I thought I was tearing. For sure. And I remember,
I'm so sorry.
thank you. It was a lot. I remembered from like learning about breathing your baby out. You can do this like pop, 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 pop. And I was like going to try it. And I was like, pop, 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 pop. And then I just heard it in the video too, where you were like, find your breath. And I was like, I can't. I was fully losing it.
You were having your baby.
I was having a baby. Yes. Yeah. But it's never been that like unhinged. And my sweet, poor little 4-year-old now, still tells me like, I heard you screaming. I was so worried about you. And I feel really bad about that. But, we've talked about it. I'm like, you knew mommy was fine in the morning. She obviously went back to sleep like minutes
that
later.
worried.
No, I'm like, you weren't that worried, were you? Because then, I remember feeling his head coming out, and I'm like, this is what I thought I was gonna breathe through. No. Yeah. At that point, I'm like, I don't care what my birth wishes were. I don't care that I wanted to not tear. I am not breathing through this. And but I also at the same time, like, it was so intense. I couldn't make a decision. Like, I couldn't choose to push. I was just like, ah. And so I think it was just the fetal ejection because I did not push. It just came out. And finally, and I saw in the video, I literally was like, thank God.
Yeah.
Like, same thing I did with Marin. And he was born.
Yeah.
But it was an it.
It wasn't it.
And he had the cord around his neck once.
Yeah. Like, I don't know, maybe once or twice.
It was a wild cord. It was very long.
Very long. Like 36 inches long.
Yeah. And pulled him up to my chest, and he took a little bit to breathe, but it was fine. It wasn't a concern. Nobody was worried about it. It was like a really sweet, peaceful moment after all that craziness. And I've never been so relieved. Excuse me. I know that right after, like, whenever my placenta was going to come, I was already traumatized by the feeling of contractions. And I was like, I can't do this anymore. I felt another contraction. And Shelton was like, do you want some help? I'm like, yes. You know, whatever my birth plan was to, like, naturally birth my placenta, I don't care. And she just gave a gentle tug. We didn't end up having to do any
Things or anything, yeah.
But I'm like, I can't do another push. I'm like, I'm traumatized.
Yeah.
And so the placenta came out, and then I knew I was done. And that was really a relieving feeling. And at that point, Kyle woke up Marin, and then my mother-in-law, mom, and sister were the ones who ended up being there, and they were in the trailer waiting. So that was good to have the trailer there for that. And he told them to come in, and they all came in. And then I wanted Marin to look and say what we had. And so we had, like, been doing training. Like, this is a vagina. This is a penis. This is what you're going to say. And Kyle got too excited, and we revealed him, and he was like, it's a boy. But Marin got to say it too. So it was a boy.
Yeah.
And, like, we all knew it was at the same time.
Yeah.
Even though we didn't know. I really wasn't sure until the end.
Yeah.
And I was like, I
Me
think
either.
it might be the boy. Yeah, we kept going back and forth.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's how he was born.
I love his story.
Do you think people can tell that we've just been, like, melting? Like, we're progressively getting sweatier?
I hope not.
We just need to acknowledge the sweat.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Does it look okay?
Yes.
This is real.
This is real.
Did you just
Raw.
as it gets?
This is real.
This is me. This
I'm
is
exactly
Girly Pop
you.
Birth Talks, and we make mocktails and we talk about birth.
And it's in a garage, so we
70
sweat.
degrees.
It's okay.
Come hang out with us at Girly Pop Birth
We'll make sure it's
Talks.
cold for you.
We'll try.
But we need some promotions first.
Yes. Olipop, tart.
Okay, so Calder is born.
Calder's born. It was so emotional.
It was really
I
special.
still cry. I've watched your birth film like
Oh my gosh.
too many times that I can't
wanted
admit.
I wanted to look at the views, but I couldn't see them for some reason.
Oh,
yeah.
I didn't know you
I
could
was
see
like,
views.
you're going to be like 60% of the views.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so really special.
Okay, so you get out of the tub.
Yep. And Kyle called his sister, who lives 2 minutes away. So that was perfect. And then he called his brother, but they're further away. And so just told him that we had a son. And then it was really fun. It was
And
like
this is the first
us-
boy.
Yes. So it was all of us chilling at 4 a.m. basically. Like all.
Holly called in burritos for everyone.
Yes. All the ladies in my life were just in my living room at 4 a.m. And we were just like talking through what the heck just happened. And I didn't have a burrito because celiac disease.
Yeah.
But you made me some really good eggs on my gluten-free bread.
I hope you think about that.
I do. I still think about the eggs Maddie made me after Layton's at the birth.
The after birth food,
It's just the best.
it hits different.
Yeah. So, yeah. And then eventually, like, you know, you got to do all the stuff to the baby, make sure everything's good. He was 8 pounds, 10 ounces. We all thought like over 9. Emery actually said, my sister said 8, 12 or something, which I saw in the video. And I'm
She
like,
was
she's a
closest.
winner. Yeah. And then, yeah, at some point you guys tucked me into bed. And at that point it was basically morning, but I got to sleep for a little bit. And we did put Marin back to bed pretty soon. But she got to see him when he was first born. Layton didn't want to. And then in the morning, they got to come all get cozy in the bed. And we had like our first little morning together.
So cute.
Yeah.
Because you're still postpartum, I think it would be fun to do like a whole postpartum episode.
Mm-hmm. Once
Later down the line.
Yeah, for sure.
Any closing thoughts that you want to leave us with?
No, I would just say that that was probably the birth story I needed to hear as a home birth mom, like not yet having the home birth, because like I said, on social media, it's very romanticized.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't say it wasn't a bad birth and I loved it, but it was not, you're not protected from hard things because you had your baby at home.
Yeah.
And I don't think it is for everybody. Honestly, if I was having another baby, which I don't plan on that, but I don't know if I would do a home birth again or if I would do the birth center. I'm not really sure. People keep asking me. I don't know.
Yeah.
That would be a game time decision.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hug.
Love you.
Thanks for having me as your first guest.
What an honor. Ariel Mice. Becca with a G.
Becca. The end. Thanks for joining us on Girly Pop Birth Talks, where we hold space for the messy and meaningful journey of becoming her.
If today's story moved you, made you laugh, or reminded you of your own strength, we would love it if you subscribed, shared the episode, and left us a quick review.
We're so glad you were here.
Seriously, you're one of us now.
We can't wait to do this again soon.